We went from people telling us we cannot drink out of the same water fountain because it was theirs, but we're not allowed to have a word. What's up, demons? Welcome back to my channel. It is Danny. I'm switching it up a little bit. I'm trying to wear my natural hair more out. And yeah, so here we are. I have a story time today about the time I'm not even gonna call them a friend, the time a white associate that I knew from work said the N-word with a hard ER in front of my fucking face. All right, let's get into it, because y'all already know me. I like to talk, I like to ramble, and bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to try to make this easier on myself later to edit. All right, so let's get into it. This took place on the third time I tripped on shrooms and the second time I tripped on shrooms with this person. We're gonna give them the alias Candyman, which is what I called them in my other videos, because I knew them from work and they always had candy and like cool little trinkets. So his name is Candyman, and he's this like white guy in his 30s. And me and my best friend at the time were close enough to him to consider him an associate, and then he later became a friend. He has done very lovely things, very, very, you know, sweet things. And I'm not saying that validates what he did, because it does not. I have cut this person off since it has happened, and I called them out on it too. But he has done things where I was at my lowest of my low, and I was going through heartbreak, depression, suicidal thoughts, the pandemic, the panini, the panoramic, whatever you want to call it. I was just going through it with my family and friends and everything, and I felt really alone. And he took me out to sushi. He gave me my belated birthday gift and everything like that. He paid the whole tab, super sweet, sent me off on my way with some good advice and some like edible gummies. Like, he was a pretty cool dude. So it's so disappointing to hear that word come out of his mouth and know immediately that I had to cut him off. Prior to him saying that word, there was no type of discrimination, no backhanded comments, no shade, no racism, no prejudice. Like, I wasn't picking up on any of those type of vibes. It just came out of nowhere, like getting hit by a truck. You're just walking, you check both sides of the street, and all of a sudden like a plane landed on you. Like, it hit like that. So it was during a shroom trip. It was me, him, and my best friend. This shroom trip, if you've seen that video, feel free to watch it. Long story short, it was the three of us tripping again. It was kind of like a reunion trip because we tripped once before, and this was the second time. I decided to go get me some. I was messing around with my ex at the time. He lived up the street, and we had an agreement like, yo, you're gonna come scoop me in the middle of my tripping on shrooms so I can experience what it's like to, you know, orgasm into outer space while on shrooms. He's like, yeah, I got you. I was like, bet. I told my friend about it. She's female, and I was like, listen, you know, this is what's gonna happen. I did not tell Candyman because it just felt kind of weird, and also he comes on very strong. He doesn't always understand the boundaries of like, hey, like, you know, platonically there shouldn't be this much touching or this closeness and stuff like that. And I was getting to the point where I was about to confront him about that, like, hey, the touchy-feeliness, the like, you know, it's kind of blurring a boundary. But we were just kind of lessening how much we were hanging out with him, which was really difficult at the time because we were all going through it, depression, personal problems, whatever, and he was going through it too. And it's like we were always making sure the other person was okay, trying to help them through whatever they were going through. So I personally had started to pull back because I was like, you know, he's getting touchy-feely. This is just other concerns I had. But we finally reunited for the shroom trip, and like I said, I was gonna go get me some on this trip. So the trip goes perfectly fine for like the first 3/4 of it. It's not the same as the first trip where we were just, oh, woo, hoo, like laughing, rolling on the floor, all sorts of like wild stuff. It was much calmer, but also we had mixed it with the little. It comes to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna go get me some, and I'm not gonna get too much into detail about that because I have a whole video about like sex on shrooms. This is the same trip, by the way, but it comes to the point where I'm supposed to leave, and so my ex is about to come scoop me because you do not drive while you were on drugs, please. He comes to scoop me, right? And I'm over here tripping like, woo, woo, yeah, woo. I'm really happy because like one of my favorite people, I was already hanging out with my favorite people, but now my other favorite people who dicks me down has come to pick me up. So now I get to feel different ways. So he comes to scoop me, and I go over to his. We have our whole little, that's a whole story time over there if you want to know what happened. And then I come back hours later. Like, while I was over there, my best friend's like, yo, like, I'm gonna need you to get your ass back over here. And I was over here like, we video called each other, we were texting, finally knowing how to like work our phones while on shrooms and like actually managing to video call each other. She's like, yo, where are you at? Like, come over here. And Candyman, we were all cool. Because of just like blurry boundaries or just like other stuff like that, we were kind of falling back from Candyman. It wasn't a collective decision. It wasn't like me and my best friend are deciding not to talk to you. It was just more of like, yo, life's getting in the way. We talk to each other whenever we talk to each other. She was a Candyman, and it's not that they don't get along. It's just more of like if we were all together and the vibe was just kind of mellow fun, you know, it just kind of had that, not tension, just maybe a little bit of awkwardness. It's like, yo, where are you at? And I'm like, okay, I got some, I'm coming. I felt a little bummed because I didn't want to leave my ex, because I was like, yo, I wasn't just trying to like get down and go. Like, I actually want to cuddle and vibe and stuff like that. He was a little bit bummed too. He's like, you're not even going to stay for a little bit. So I tried to stay a little bit, and then he dropped me back off. So I go back in, and as I knock on the door, it's already open. So I enter, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Like, I didn't just go get down into another dimension and left my friends for a couple of hours, and maybe that makes me a shitty person. But how often do you get your hands on shrooms? We're in a small little town. It's been, ever since my last time tripping, I tripped 3 times. I have not been able to find somebody with shrooms, nor am I looking, because I'm not pressed about it. My point is that if you're gonna have your experiences, you want to go ahead and enjoy them on shrooms. So I was like, listen, this is like a 6 to 8 hour thing. 4 hours here, 4 hours there. Put the math together, and I got a nice little wholesome experience, and I got to hang out with different people. And the fact that my ex was already entertaining me while I was on like cloud and 900 and he was just regular high, the fact that he was already entertaining me, I was like really excited, because I was like, yo, that's great. So I come back, and they immediately like, they're like, nah, you ain't just about to waltz up in here acting all cutesy and stuff like that. I'm over here glowing like, woo, shrooms and nothing can stop me. Oh, no, wait. Oh, I walk in, they're like, no. And it was awkward. Like I said before I had left, my best friend knew I was gonna go get some, but Candyman didn't. When I was like, yo, okay, I'll be right back, he was like, what? She shouldn't be driving. She shouldn't be going anywhere. Like, we should stop her. And my best friend was like, and that's when it was pretty much revealed to him that like, hey, she's gonna go, you know, enjoy herself with her ex and then come back to us. And he had this like, okay. So when I came back, it was just like, no. Candyman was just staring at me like, my best friend was like, nah, bitch. Nah, you ain't, nah. They started shooting me with Nerf guns. She has like a daybed in her living room, so I like got on the daybed, I was rolling around. I was also in my feelings because it was a very intense trip. Once again, that's in the other story time. Very emotional. I'm sure the like, why am I whispering? Mixed in with the shrooms definitely had an effect, a different type of effect on me. It made me emotional. On top of that, I felt like the sex was like some kind of sex bond spell, some kind of like it was very intense. I was like, oh man, I'm getting attached to my ex again, because it just felt insane. But that's beyond the point. So I had returned, and I'm over here in my feelings. The shrooms are still there. It's kind of like a wavy high. You reach your peak, and then you're kind of like, woo, and then you think you're sober, and you're still not sober. So the shrooms, I want to say I was coming down, but it's still kind of with hidden waves and stuff like that. So I went to go, you know, sit on the bed, and my best friend's looking at me like, Candyman's looking at us like, and I'm just over here like, I'm feeling all of the things. It's super chill after that. I guess they forgave me for my little mid-session shroom booty call. But it's chill after that. And so we were just talking and vibing, laughing about stuff. We had some really good moments where like, even after I had left, because I felt really bad for leaving, but I was like, come on, like, how often do you get shrooms? And I would really love to actually like spend some time with my guy at the time, because the second time we tripped on shrooms, it was in a group setting, so I wasn't able to. So I was like, yo, I just want it to be like a me and him type of moment. Everything's more intensified and amplified when you're on substances. Please, just like the fun, happy, giggly substances. I'm not talking about anything hard, and I'm not advising this, by the way, either. This is just a story time. I'm just sharing. So we're all just kind of like in the dining area / kitchen, and it's like, okay, we're getting to the point of the trip where, you know, we're coming down, we're chilling, we might smoke a little weed, we're gonna eat some fresh fruit, we're about to like, you know, drink some water and stuff like that, put on a face mask, just vibing. I can't remember half the conversations. You are able to remember things from your shroom trip because you're still coherent. I don't know if it's the fact that he said the N-word that I was like, all right, I'm just gonna try to erase this trip from my memory, but we were just chatting about stuff, and I got to the point where he started speaking. And you know when you're like high and you kind of ramble? I know shrooms and tripping and weed and being high is all different things, but we did actually smoke. And so you kind of start rambling, you're just kind of going, you're kind of like, I'm going now, but I'm sober. You just kind of going, your mouth's just going. But I always had it that even when my mouth is running, I'm still able to filter what I say. And maybe that's because whatever I'm thinking or whatever I feel in here is a reflection of what comes out my mouth. So it's not like I have any malice in my head or in my heart and I have like all these like mean, rude things I want to say and I'm like, oh, I've been holding back this whole time. Honestly, I don't have those type of thoughts or feelings. Like, I don't want to think of myself as a person who has any type of hate in their heart. So when I speak, it's like whatever I'm saying, if I say something that accidentally comes off the wrong way, I can explain myself because most likely I didn't mean it. This was not one of those things. So Candyman starts, he takes the mic, he takes the talking stick, and he's just going on and on and on. And it gets to the point like me and my best friend were sitting there, still over here like dazed from the dimension of like, oh, whoa, man, I gotta stop messing with my ex. Oh, these shrooms are great. Oh, what happened? Oh man, I feel shitty for leaving my friends. I'm over here in my own little thought bubble. I don't know what my best friend's thinking about, but he's just talking and taking the mic, and we're just sitting there like, yeah. He's talking. I'm getting irritated telling this story. I feel like that's why I'm also trying to talk fast. He starts telling a story. It sounds like a friend of a friend type of thing, and it didn't even make any sense, but the stuff that just started coming out of his mouth was like red flag back to back to back. At one point, I'm pretty sure he told us he has casually tried crack. I was like, I'm over here trying to telepathically talk to my best friend like, okay, are we in the same room hearing these conversations? It was either crack or it was either crack or heroin. I forgot, but it was one of the hard ones that we do not play with in this house. And he said that he didn't say it outright like, oh, I have tried this thing. He had this like, he was talking about the effects of something like, yeah, you know, because when you do that, it's who. And I was like, you sound experienced. Like, excuse me, don't be a 30-year-old white dude crackhead that we did not know we were working with, please. So that was already a red flag. And I was like, okay, so after this trip, I guess we're just not talking anymore. Like, I'm not gonna associate myself. People tell me I have crackhead energy, but I'm not gonna associate myself with like actual crackheads. So that was the one thing. But then he starts telling the story, like I said, in a friend of a friend context, and he was like, yeah, I knew this girl or whatever, and she was like, have you ever bro, he just said it like outright. Like I said, like you check both sides of the street and you get hit by a plane, you get crushed by a plane. It just came out of his mouth. And all I could imagine was this man like on a plantation and like whatever overalls with the whip in his hand, like, yeah, you. And it came out so casually. Nothing of it. He didn't think nothing of it. Just kept going with his story. So I guess he was trying to tell a story, and once again, not justifying or validating. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell he was even talking about in the first place. Because it's like, you're over here, and thankfully you did, so I can cut you off, but you're over here revealing that you're on this type of racist vibe, and you're not thinking anything of it. And outside of that, you revealed it in a story that's not even making any sense. I think he was trying to talk about a girl who's basically, she slept with a black guy, and she's like, oh my god, have you ever slept with a black guy? I guess she was fetishizing black men and their schlong. So you know what, I guess he just it makes sense now, because it's like, if he's over here dropping this word that casually and he's talking about a friend who's like, oh my god, have you ever slept with black men? Because forget that they're actual people, what about their so he drops the word, and I couldn't even process the rest of what he was saying. I was already barely listening, but I was like listening. I was just tuned out. He drops the word, and I'm not even talking about with an A. He's not like, yo nigga this da 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 da. Hard ER. Like the syllables were sharp. It was a complete word. Just boom. What was that one show with the Bill or something, and they used to like drop words out the air and they would like crack? Y'all know what I'm talking about, or did I just make something up? It was like, y'all remember that show Schoolhouse Rock with like, it was like a show about like, it was an educational show about like bills and documents or something like that, and like learning or whatever, but they would just pop up words, like popping stuff up and dropping things out the air, like everything was just it popped out of nowhere like that. It was like a whoa. Excuse me, kid, what's going on here? What are these words coming out your mouth? And so he drops it. It's like, what gives you the right to say that? To say any variation of that word? 2, why are you so casual and comfortable saying it around 2 other black women? And 3, I was trying to think if I have ever heard anybody say it Like, I understand there's a whole issue with white people saying the N-word already in songs and this and the third, and that's still not okay in the slightest. Even the casual variation of the word that we use to greet each other, the one that we have reclaimed, even then, like, anybody who's not black that says it just makes me immediately uncomfortable. It's like a cuss word you're not supposed to say as a kid. You just don't say it. You don't say it. And I need people to understand that if you cannot say it because of the history and because of the current political climate too, hello, if you cannot say it, don't say it. Just understand for the rest of your life in this lifetime, you do not have access to that word. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. There are other horrible, harsh words out there nobody's casually dropping. Why are you so quick to take one that has such a dark, negative history that implies so much, such a heavy word that we as black people have taken back and reclaimed and have given it powers to use amongst ourselves, given our history and the current political climate? But what makes you think you can take that word and just adopt it for your own use? It don't apply to you. It don't sound right. It's just uncomfortable. Like, it's just unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. And then on top of that, you're gonna use the ones that slave owners are using. I was over here, I was like, have I ever heard, maybe I've seen videos about like people, you know, getting called out on the internet and they've said it. I was like, I don't think I've ever heard this word said in real life. And by somebody that was supposed to be a cool friend. And so it wasn't even heartbreak. It was just disappointment and disgust. It wasn't like, oh my God, our friendship. I was just over here like, just, like, words cannot even fathom. And so me and my best friend, we clicked because I had this like, maybe I'm just tripping. No, sis, you heard what you heard. I look at her and she had this like, all right, this trip is over. Magic School Bus, pack it up. We gotta go. Somebody send this one home. Send this man home. Send this man home. This field trip is over. It got canceled. It's You ruined it for all of us and yourself, and you just lost 2 friends in the process. I'm pretty sure she don't talk to him anymore either, but I knew immediately. I was like, oh, this is the cutoff. This is how this connection ends. All right, well, bye. Like, but it was also uncomfortable for me because remember, I had just gone to go, you know, mess around with my ex, and I was picking up on, I'm not trying to make this about me, I promise, but I just picked up on some like awkward, weird tension, especially since he's known to cross boundaries with both me and my best friend. Kind of like this, like, oh yeah, I'm, you know, the playboy guy and I have 2 pretty chocolate females next to me. It was that type, it was getting towards that type of vibe. That's why we were keeping our space. So it's like, it's uncomfortable because it's like, you don't understand the boundaries of friendship, and you'll be coming on to people and touching people, stuff like that. And then in the middle of the trip, I'm going to go mess with my ex, and all of a sudden, you're making a comment about a friend who's bragging about what it's like to sleep with a black man. Instead of 1, not bringing that story up, or 2, if you insisted on bringing that story up, putting it in some type of, you know, not even sugar-coated terms, but something more subtle and not blatantly racist. You decided to choose that vocabulary, that tone of voice. It just sounded like jealous and envy on his end of things, and like maybe he felt like he was lacking or something, or maybe he was comparing himself to a black man. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and analyze him. I don't know what was going on in his head, but you could pick up on some jealousy and envy. And I'm not saying that was towards me and my guy or the situation, just maybe a lack of satisfaction with himself, and then maybe he liked the girl in the story and then she went for a black, I don't know, but it just sounded envious and uncomfortable, the tone of voice. And like, you know, when he was telling the story, he wasn't even like, yeah, da 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 da. A lot of nervous laughing, anxiety, envy, like, just, it was just an uncomfortable story, like, yeah, you know, and then and then on top of that, you're dropping the N-bomb, hard ER, clearly showing that you do not have any type of respect for us because you're just pulling it out ever so casually, just here, have a word. Not that word. Wait. All of a sudden, I am so aware of my own blackness, of your whiteness, of America and its history of racism, of America and its current day issue of racism, of police brutality in all the names, of all the inequalities towards black people and people of color, but black people. This is a black issue. I just suddenly became so fully aware, and I'm not saying I'm not aware of it on a daily basis. I read the news, I hear what happens, that shit hurts to hear. It hurts to hear. I don't like hear America. That's a different rant. That said, I am very aware of those things. I'm just not trying to think about them on a shroom trip. Those are the things that, you know, make me want to make a change in the world, but they also cause my depression, and they make me feel just powerless in this racist ass capitalistic society. So guess what? I'm not trying to hear my white 30-year-old coworker drop the N-word with a hard ER during a shroom trip. So that entire moment was just like, all the bad feelings, all the negative feelings I don't be feeling during a trip, they were there. I just had this like, I remember I had chilled out with talking because I didn't really have much to say after that. I was just like, all right, we need to get this man out of this house right now, because I was like, I'm gonna destroy this man later, but right now I do not have the capacity. Too much stuff is happening. I'm gonna just kind of be quiet. So that was that. I don't know why he felt the need to say it, but I'm glad he did. I'm glad he did. I was associating myself with this person. I was letting them into my energy field. That's not okay. I don't accept that type of energy. I don't tolerate hate. I don't tolerate discrimination. I don't tolerate prejudice. I don't tolerate any type of hate to any person who is just literally existing. Hate towards somebody because of what they look like or how they identify or whatever's going on in your weird ass up head and your conditioned head, because hate is taught. Whatever's going on in your up head that makes you have these viewpoints that you don't like people because of the way they look and they're just existing and minding their business, I don't tolerate any of that. That's such bitter, nasty, stale, ugly ass, foul energy. I don't accept it. This is not a mistake. This is not a, oh, let me get a second chance type of thing. You were cut. You were cut. So that had happened, and me and my best friend had this like, all right, it's time to go ahead and get him out, because, you know, he doesn't always pick up on social cues, or if he does, he ignores them very subtly. Like, sometimes it's hard to tell whether he's ignoring them or not. We had this like, all right, time to go home. I was staying with my best friend, so I wasn't gonna go anywhere, but it was like, yo, like, it's time, you need to see yourself out. Eventually he left, and as soon as he was gone, me and my best friend just got to what did he you heard it, right? Yeah, I heard it. So he had said it because I wasn't the only witness, and we were just sitting there talking like and the whole situation was just uncomfortable. Like, I told my ex about it too, because we were still like messing around with each other at the time, and my ex is black, and telling him, like, I felt uncomfortable telling him that somebody I had associated myself with had said the word. I felt embarrassed, humiliated, stupid. Like, I felt all these different things. I didn't feel comfortable even telling him that he had said it, but of course I was going to share it with him. So the fact that you were so comfortable saying the word itself, that shakes me to my core. That's sick. But I had told my ex, it seems like it had affected him too, and maybe I shouldn't have told him because it felt like he had started digging down memory lane. He started sharing sometimes with me that he had experienced racism, just flat out blatant racism in our town, and just really horrendous, cruel things that had happened to him and his friends and stuff like that. And he had never shared those things with me before, and I was just over here like, and we're just laying in bed together like, yeah, so that's that. Racism, am I right? Well, I guess Candyman went home to go snuggle up in his warm little bed, and I was like, oh, what a beautiful night of tripping. And yeah, so that was that. I need anybody who's not black to understand that you do not have access to the N-word. It took me years because I was struggling with my own identity. I am very aware that I'm black, but just the environment and like town I grew up in, I was just struggling with actually figuring out myself and finding myself, and also not seeing myself in books, magazines, ads, TVs, movies. When you don't see yourself in society, you wonder where the hell you are and who you're supposed to be. Why is it that I am not represented? Why do we have to have these calls for diversity? Why are you not reflecting the everyday world, as diverse as it is, realistically, we are getting pushed all these images of like skinny, white, Eurocentric features on us, perfectly able, nobody's mentally ill, everybody has money and is happy. Like, we're getting pushed this American dream, picturesque, pretty, beautiful picture of like what life is supposed to be. And it's like, that's not what life looks like. That's not what I look like. Why am I not allowed to see myself? So for years, it wasn't until I changed my friend group and I had more diverse friends and I actually had more Black friends to hang out with. It wasn't until I changed my environment. Whole identity crisis. It wasn't until I had a huge metamorphosis, like a huge major transformation in myself, and started wearing my hair natural and not straightening it because that's what I thought beauty looked like. It wasn't until I had a wake-up call and separated myself and finally grounded myself in who I am and my own roots that I started to feel comfortable using the N-word casually, never with the hard ER. And even now, like, I'm not even saying it because I'm just like, it depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm not around my people, I'm not dropping it like that. So why are you dropping it? And it doesn't even make sense. Why are you dropping that word as a 30-year-old white man around 2 Black females? Like, is that a power move? Are you trying to establish that you don't have respect for us? Are you trying to make it clear you on some racist vibes? Like, what's the reason? The sad and scary part about it is that it has been earned, and even then it shouldn't have been earned. It is more of a result of Black survival and trauma and what our ancestors have gone through, and we have taken it in modern day and age and have turned it into something friendly and familiar, and not to erase that history but to modify it and evolve it into something better. The word is so versatile. You can use it however you want. The way you use it, depending on who you're talking to, the tone you take, it can mean so many things. It's such a versatile word. The point is, it's been reclaimed for us and us only. Like the drinking fountains back in the day that y'all wanted for only y'all. This word is for a community. It is proof of survival, the daily survival, and the survival of the past, the trauma, the success, the triumph, the determination, the dedication, and the persistence of Black people to not allow us to stay down in a world and a society where we did not have a head start. We didn't. We're just trying to now get our properties and our money and the things we love and build happy, beautiful, loving families and all that stuff. Black people have gone through years of trauma and getting left behind, and we're just trying to pick ourselves up, and the one thing we say that is ours is a word. We went from people telling us we cannot drink out of the same water fountain because it was theirs, but we're not allowed to have a word that embodies everything about our existence, our presence, our struggle, our success, our glory. We can't have that one word. Y'all need it that bad that you need to say it? When I hear it come out of other people's mouth, it just feels wrong and uncomfortable. It sounds so privileged. Like, that person will never understand the depth of that word. It's no one's job to educate you, so take this as you will. You know, I'm just sharing my personal viewpoints on it. We already have to fight for so much of our culture, and we don't get credit for stuff. Our hairstyles, our styles, our music, like, so much art and creativity and projects and inventions and world and life-changing things have come from Black people, and I understand that those type of things have come from other types of people too. That's not the point. Don't get me on this all lives matter thing. The point is, right now we're talking about a specific set of people, which is us. All right. Black people. Let the spotlight shine. It's gonna go to other people. Let it shine right now for the sake of this conversation on Black people. For the things we have created, for the style and the songs, everything from style, hair, music, food, dance, TikTok trends, K-pop, other cultures, because I'm a K-pop stan myself, and even then I could still acknowledge the appropriation within K-pop itself while still enjoying other aspects of Korean culture and K-pop. I'm able to look at all aspects of something. My point is, Black people are fighting for their own existence so we don't get shot in the street or while we're sleeping. We're fighting for an individuality that we are proud of, and watching as things that we are taunted and tormented for and traumatized about get turned into trends and get appropriated. We are fighting for the same financial wealth and gain. I'm not the voice for everybody, but we are fighting for that same financial and healthy, happy head start that we didn't get. we don't always get. I get so excited when I see happy, healthy Black love, or like successful Black families, or like successful Black girls or guys just out there about their bag and traveling and stuff, because I'm not used to it. We're fighting for it. We have to fight for our voice to be heard and try to have to educate people and explain to people, hey, this is not okay for these reasons. And now you're telling me we gotta fight to have a single word? All the words in the world, and y'all gotta have this one? Y'all have to say it? Why? Is it a novelty? Are you fascinated by it? Are you like the little kid who wants to cuss? Are you like, ooh, I want to be a part of that club? Or is it a power thing? Is it a lack of respect thing where you're like, I'm gonna say it and whatever, you know, I'm gonna acknowledge your Blackness in the most disrespectful way and also point out my privilege in the process? Like, what is it? It's wild. And even when he was telling the story, like whatever girl he was talking about, it wasn't somebody we knew, but he had made it sound so like fetishizing of Black men. Like Black men are just been, I understand that any man or any person who has a schlong, schlong, or any person who has a can, you know, be blessed. But the story he was telling just sounded like, oh, Black men have been praying to the big energy gods, and you know, they have called upon the genital gods and have gotten blessed, and that's why she likes them, and I don't like it that she likes them, because the whole thing was just super sus and super sketch. I didn't like him for what he said. I didn't like the girl in the story, whoever he was talking about, that was like, oh my god. It's another thing. It's one thing he said the word. It's still fucking vicious and terrible, and he's still cut off. But it's like, so you're telling me you were hanging out with another person who is this verbatim? Did you quote this? Are you quoting her? Because now you're saying you hung out with another person who not only is fetishizing Black men, but now if she said the N-word, have you ever, wow, that's a whole new level to it. That just hit right now. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even think about that. You're objectifying a person based off their skin tone. They're a thing to you. No, not Michael, who wants to become a football player and has a sister and a mom and a family and dreams and goals. No, just a insert offensive ass word here to objectify a Black man, establish your privilege, and discriminate and be racist in the same breath. So yeah, between him dropping the N-word hard R while telling a story about a girl who apparently also dropped the N-word and is objectifying and fetishizing Black men on top of that, and then also casually sharing that he has tried hard drugs, which we do not do in this house, sir, once again. When he said all of those things, I was like, all right, so that's a no for both of them. This is done. Like, there's nothing even to, like, there's nothing to save or salvage. There's no type of, it's gone. Like, it was like I had never met him. It just got erased. I was just like, I don't go with you anymore. Not even on a low key, a very high key, you are cut off. When I finally approached him about it, because I had sent him 3 messages when I was ready on Instagram, I had sent voice messages. Basically, they were saying this is not fucking okay. He does not reply for a month. Y'all, he's usually pretty quick with his responses. Sometimes he goes into like a little depressive hole like we all do when we disappear for 2 weeks or whatever, but he'll always come back. He does not come back for a month. He left me on scene, by the way, because he saw those messages. Doesn't come back for a month, and then he claims that he did not even remember saying that word or the context of which he said it. You're dropping the N-word hard R casually, so casually you can't even remember what you said. No way your memory's that bad. Because if somebody approached me and said, hey Danny, remember that one time you said that thing? Unless you're talking about something I said when I was like 5 years old and I could barely remember what I said out of my mouth. If you're gonna ask me about something that happened, especially recently, like these are current day events, I know how to own up to the things I have said, and I'm gonna remember the things I have said because I watch what I say. Because like I said, what's going on up here and what's going on up here is not allowing nasty, vicious, racist bullshit to come out my mouth, because that's not the way I think, and that's not how my heart loves. It doesn't sit well with my spirit, so why does it sit well with yours? But anyways, that's it. That's my story time. I cut him off. I do not speak to him to this day. Very happy about that, but it was just gross. I told you all my feelings on it. I will spend days in bed, especially with like just everything that's going on. This is getting filmed around the time that certain white people have just stormed the White House and have like overthrown a whole building. You know, if those people were Black, it would have been a massacre. Let those people be Black, it would have been slaughtered. So we're living in a time where stuff like that happens, and the blatant privilege and racism to show that there are people on this American soil and in the world that are still living. Y'all say drop racism. There are people that are still living in that mindset of the past. They truly believe in their hearts and their mind that we're not worthy because of what we look like. You have to realize that. And I think when you come to terms, when you stop taking things personally, when you stop taking the Black Lives Matter movement personally and us fighting for our own existence, when you stop taking that personally and you realize there's a bigger issue at hand of people who are thinking like that, who want their little white water fountains back, who thrive on the chaos of separation and discrimination, when you realize that, you will understand where your loyalties lie. And if you don't realize that, I'm just gonna assume you were at the White House that day too. Or if you didn't make it, you wanted to be. That's it. For those of you who know y'all are chill and this does not apply to you in any shape or form, then hey, you know, thanks for being a decent human being. Thanks for not having hate in your heart. It might not be a very active or obvious one, but being Black every day is a battle. And it's one I am more than willing to fight. Sometimes I'm just sad that we have to. So that's all. That is my story time. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment below. Y'all are my mother monsters, and I'll see you on the next video. Please, please, don't let anybody speak to you any type of way. You don't have to put up with it. Know your worth. The way people speak to you, the way people treat you, whether they make it obvious or not, is how they value you. Anyways, that's all. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Bye.